Okay, next we have the Neo-Freudians. So we've kind of looked at all of Freud's perspective on psychological development and personality. The Neo-Freudians came later. They were inspired by Freud's original theories of the unconscious and defense mechanisms and these things. So while Freud had um, some very controversial research, he did attract a lot of followers, and he has had a significant impact on development of the psychodynamic perspective in psychology today. So when you're talking about like superego, the id, the ego, the importance of the unconscious, defense mechanisms, and early childhood development on personality, these things were well accepted by Neo-Freudians. However, there were two things that uh, differed according to Neo-Freudians that kind of veered them away. And the first was Neo-Freudians place more emphasis on the conscious mind's role in interpreting existing experience with coping in terms of the environment around them, right? So it's not entirely the unconscious. We also need to focus some on the conscious as well, because that's something that we can measure. That's something that is more objective, right? And then number two, they doubted that sex and aggression were all consuming motivations and instead emphasized motives and social interaction, more so on motives and social interactions. So Alfred Adler, Carl Jung, and Karen Horney were the three main Neo-Freudians that really developed and shaped the psychodynamic approach. We're going to talk about two in particular, Alfred Adler and Carl Jung. So the first we're going to look at here is Carl Jung. And he was once a close friend and collaborator of Freud. However, he placed a lot less emphasis on sex being the driving force to the unconscious. He still believed that the unconscious exerted a lot of influence on our personality development. However, he believed in something called the collective unconscious. He had the personal unconscious, which basically just contains all our repressed memories and emotions. But then there's the collective unconscious, right? And this is the shared, contained common reservoir between all of us of these images and memories that are derived from our species past, right? And all of human evolution, okay? And he called these archetypes. So, for instance, you look at the symbol of a mother being the nurturer. Well, the reason why all cultures have this this idea, this image of the mother being the nurturer is because of these archetypes through the collective unconscious, these epigenetics that have affected us for generations and centuries. Next, we have Alfred Adler. So like Freud, Adler also believed in childhood tensions, okay? And he also agreed on the unconscious. But instead of, again, focusing so much on the biological sexual impulses, he believed that the aggression tension was more important, the will to power, superiority. So he proposed that the driving force in the unconscious, it wasn't sex, it wasn't sexual desires, it was this need for superiority, okay? And he called it the inferiority complex, in which infants are young, they're helpless, they're dependent upon one another, and this situation then precedes these deep feelings of weakness and inadequacy and incompetence. So Adler believed that this inferiority complex came out in two specific ways. The first one was to compensate, right, in which we strive to improve ourselves depending on our abilities and our talents. And then we have overcompensation, right, where we're feeling inferior, and therefore we exaggerate our accomplishments, we exaggerate our status, we exaggerate our good looks, and we deny any limitations that we have. Okay, this is going to be it for today. Here are a couple reflection questions I want you to answer regarding the psychoanalytic and psychodynamic perspective on personality. You're just going to look at, Freud. What are some of the things that are accepted by his theories? What are some of the things that are rejected, right, today? And then look at contemporary psychologists. How do they view Freud's psychoanalysis approach? Describe any of the modern research out there that gives us a little bit more understanding about the unconscious. Okay, you can use your book on these. A lot of these answers should be in there as we're reflecting at the end of the chapter on the psychodynamic perspective of personality. All right, see you guys later.